Thank you for joining us today. My name is Marissa Pecoraro. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the in-person program coordinator for Huntington's Disease Youth Organization, also known as HDYO. Welcome back to the HDYou Community Stories. This is a series dedicated to sharing stories and experiences from the HD community for the HD community. Today, we will be discussing what self-care looks like for a young person from an HD family. The session will be hosted by our lovely ambassador, Claudia. Thank you for leading this conversation today, Claudia.
Thank you, Marisa. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the HDYU Community Stories. These are stories from the community for the community. I'm Claudia. I'm from Italy. I'm an HDYU ambassador, and I'm also at risk for HD. Today's topic is something that really matters, especially when HD is part of your life: self-care. So how we take care of ourselves, why it's important, and what that even looks like when you're dealing with, stress, uncertainty, or supporting a loved one. I'm super excited because today I'm not alone. I'm here with Ana Maria and Hannah here with us to share their personal experiences and perspectives. So thank you guys for being here. Let's start really, really simple. Can each of you tell us a little bit about yourself, your connection to HD?
Hi, everyone. My name is Ana Maria Torres. I'm 35 years old and I am at risk for HD. I'm currently on the waiting list for genetic counseling and eventually genetic testing. I was born in Colombia, but when I was 8 years old, my family moved to Costa Rica, where I grew up. And at 25, I returned to Colombia to care for my father and uncle, who were in the early stages of HD. Sadly, they passed away during the pandemic in 2021. And after that, I moved to Canada. Since then, I've been actively involved in the HD community. I am currently the vice president of the Colombian Huntington Association, ACOLPEG. I'm involved with the Huntington Society of Canada and Quebec, and I'm also an ambassador for HDYO.
Thank you. Thank you, Ana Maria.
Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Hannah Remlard. I am 22 years old and currently live in a small town in Manitoba, which is located in Canada. I'm gene negative for Huntington's disease, and I first became a caregiver for my mom when I was just 14 years old. She went in a care home about a year and a half ago. I am actively involved in the HD community. I'm an HDYO ambassador. I'm currently the social media coordinator and secretary for the Manitoba chapter and the social media coordinator for YPAT. I've also written a chapter in the book Positively Rare about my experience being a young caregiver.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you for sharing. And let's start with this first question. When you think about self-care, what does that mean for you personally?
For me, self-care is self-love. It's like a group of habits that help us live with balance between body, mind, and spirit. These habits give you or give us a better sense of well-being, satisfaction, and happiness.
Thank you.
When I think of self-care, I like to think of taking time to prioritize myself, and setting aside time specifically to do things that I enjoy and that help me feel grounded and help me feel like I'm kind of recharging my battery in a way.
Good. And has this relationship with self-care changed over time?
Yes, a lot. I started to notice that every small change I made in my habits helped me feel better now and in the future. Before, I used to think like life is short, I will live however I want, without realizing that my choices today affect my body and mind tomorrow. But when you begin to make these changes, small ones, because it's not easy and it's not fast, you see you can live a fuller life and even help others.
Hannah?
I feel like my self-care has changed drastically over the years. when I first became a caregiver at 14 years old, I wasn't really practicing self care because it was kind of on the back burner. I was prioritizing my mom and school at the time and my part time job. So I didn't really do anything from the age of 14 to 18 to prioritize that, which led to my mental health, unfortunately, being not so great and being diagnosed with major depression and suicidal ideation. So I was admitted into a mental facility twice when I was 17, and then once again at 18. Or sorry, I was admitted twice, but once at 17 and once at 18. And then my relationship with self care kind of changed after that because I realized I needed to start prioritizing it so that I could live my life.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you for sharing. And Ana Maria, were there times where you also realized that you needed, to take better care of yourself and your health?
Yes, I started feeling very anxious and even had panic attacks. When I moved to Canada, I was grieving the loss of three people I loved deeply, my dad and his two siblings. They passed away in less than 6 months, and it was really painful, a really painful time. Um, Panic attacks are something you never want to experience, but when they happen, you realize you have to do something. Uh, it was a mix of many things. It was grief, leaving my country, the long and cold Canadian winter, poor eating, no exercise, social isolation, and no hobbies. So none of that helped me feel good.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Hannah, do you want to add something else?
Let me rack my brain for a second. I don't think so. I think that's the main thing.
And what kind of things help you feel like you're coming back to yourself, mentally, emotionally, physically?
Meditation has helped me make the changes I needed. Moving my body with more awareness, like doing yoga or running, taught me to love and respect it. Also, music always helped me feel my emotions and connect with people. And of course, helping my community makes me feel useful, loved, and connected to who I really am.
That's true. Hannah, what about you?
I find a variety of different things kind of helps me come back to myself. I prioritize a lot of therapy nowadays. I try and do 1 to 2 appointments every month. That way I can just kind of talk it out with somebody because I've learned for myself when I'm in a place where I really need some extra self-care or something like that. I'm a person that loves to talk it out and work through a problem. I don't even really need somebody to be there to like fix it. I just need a sounding board. So that's one of the main things that helps me. But when it comes to stuff at home, I love to take long hot showers. I'll sometimes just like sit on the floor in my shower and just like take deep breaths. Um, I do lots of puzzles, I do coloring, reading books, and all that kind of stuff.
There's one thing or, any little daily habits that help you, especially in those tough days, to feel okay among all these tools that you told us?
Yes, it's not easy to build these habits, especially when life moves so fast. But I created a routine that helps me feel good each day. Journaling is one of them. It helps release emotions. And just take a notebook and a pen and write anything, even if it makes no sense. You don't have to keep it. You can even tear the page if you want. It clears your mind and makes a space for the present. I also meditate for 20 minutes every morning, walk with my walk, sorry, walk with my dog and play the ukulele for an hour or more. To do all this, I had to stop sleeping as much as I used to. And honestly, that changed my life. And Finally, I practice gratitude every day. It helps me see and enjoy all the good things in my life.
Thank you, Ana Maria. Those are really good habits to have. And Hannah, what about you?
I kind of go about my days where I just take it as it comes. I try and go one day at a time. So, it really depends on the day. Sometimes, some days I don't feel like I need as much self-care or any self-care because I'm busy doing things and my mind is kind of distracted or I'm hanging out with friends, which really helps boost my mood. But on days that I do feel like I need self-care, sometimes I just let myself sit down or lay down on my couch for a little bit and give myself some time to just relax if I really, really need it. Sometimes I will just kind of go on my phone and look and see like videos online that I find relatable. Sometimes I will, again, do coloring, puzzles, books, that kind of thing. A big thing that I find really, really helps with my self care is I have a little niece, um, and she brings such joy to my life. So anytime that I need like a little extra boost or something, I'll either call her or I'll see her. And it always kind of just lights up my day because she'll be like, Auntie Donna, and like scream
Mhm.
it. And it's my favorite thing ever. So I find just like really leaning on the people I love and things like that are really, really helpful in day to day life.
I have a little niece too, so I can totally understand the feeling of being that loved, but a tiny little creature. So yeah, thank you again for sharing. And I wanted to ask you, in those periods where, you were struggling with putting your own needs first, what helped you get through that? What you recommend also to others who are struggling to put themselves first?
Oof. Mostly when you are a caregiver, sometimes you forget that you also need care. You must remind yourself every day to take good care of someone else, you must first take care of yourself. And don't be afraid to ask for help from your family or closest friends.
Thank you.
I think for me, it took a lot for me to realize that I needed to start changing things in my life to practice self care. So, like I said, I got admitted into a mental facility. Um, and basically, that was kind of my breaking point. I realized that um, my major depression and suicidal ideation was really taking kind of a forefront in my mind. I wasn't really like I would go driving and I wouldn't remember driving or getting places. And so I kind of knew at that point that I just didn't have the mental capacity anymore for anyone else, let alone myself. And so I think going into the mental facility, having my phone taken away, and just having those couple days to reset, it really gives you a chance to think, and you also know you're in a safe space. I don't recommend it, obviously, for everyone. Um, but knowing that I was at that point, I was able to go, okay, my life is not sustainable right now. What can I do to make it sustainable for the people I love and for myself? But I really just like recommend people before you reach that point, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to admit if things are tough. It's okay to talk about it. I think that it's very stigmatized and it shouldn't be, especially in our community, because you have so many people and so many supports that you can lean on. And I think that just being able to acknowledge that you can't do everything. And if you want to help others, you can't pour from an empty cup. And so you have to give yourself that little bit of grace, that little bit of time, so that you can continue to do the things that you want to do and you can continue to help people you love and care about if that's what your motivation is.
You're absolutely right. We talked about this in a previous video about how we in the HD community always have people tell us how we are strong. So we're strong, we're super strong, and that's something that prevents us sometimes to get help and to just say, hey, I need a break, I need some time for myself. And it's actually difficult. So sometimes we might need, some help from the people around us. So I wanted to ask you if there are people in your life that remind you to, take care of you, and what does that support look like?
Yes, my husband and my mom and my brother. Sometimes it's just something simple like, okay, take care at the end of a phone call. And I really appreciate those works and I take them seriously.
I think for me in day-to-day life, I kind of touched on the family aspect. Um, but also I know my brother would be okay with me sharing this. So one of my therapy sessions that I do once a month is for myself, but then one as well is with my brother. We do counseling together, and it's helped us kind of learn, just because we grew up in like an HD household, how to support each other outside of HD, but also within HD, and to learn our communication styles so that we can really lean on each other and just go, hey, I'm having a hard day today. And that's been really, really helpful. I think also just being able to know that, like, my friends that I sometimes want to talk to are just like a phone call away. If I'm specifically like, hey, I really need what this person has to offer. Just because I know that everybody has different things that they're able to offer. Some people are fixers, some people are listeners, that kind of thing. So I've really just gotten in tune with, like, okay, what do I need in this moment and which person matches that? So that's been really good support. The people I live with are super great at supporting me. My brother's girlfriend, Tegan, is one of the people that I really, really appreciate for support, because she's able to kind of look at it at an outside perspective, outside of HD, but also she understands what we're going through because she's been dating my brother for years now. Like, I think they're coming up on 9 years. So that's really, really nice to have that. And then people in the community are also always available if I need.
That's great. And again, thank you for sharing this and talking about, doing things for ourselves. And this is something that I struggle with too. Have you ever felt guilty, for doing something that was just for yourself, especially while supporting someone with HD? And if yes, how do you work through that?
Yes, definitely. When my dad and uncle were still alive and I took a few days off for vacation, I felt incomplete and I felt that I was relaxing while they were struggling with the disease. And that guilt wasn't easy, but I always tried to enjoy the moment as much as possible, knowing that I would go back to caregiving in a couple of days.
For me, it's changed over the years. I do still have guilt about it, but originally, when I was my mom's primary caregiver before she was in the care home and I was living at home, I felt a lot of guilt about leaving if I was going to hang out with friends or if I was going to go do something. And so, one of the things that I learned after the mental facility that really helped me was being able to sit down with my brother and my dad and go, okay, how do we work this out so that I feel less guilty about it? So we worked it out that on Saturdays we would each take turns on who kind of was taking care of my mom that day. So it'd give the other two a break. So I felt less guilty knowing that, like, okay, I can plan something on a Saturday that isn't like I'm not with my mom at that time, and knowing that she had somebody there. So that really helped back then. Now I still do feel guilt for taking care of myself, but I just have to remind myself that if I don't want to go um, and get burnt out again, or go through depressive episodes, that kind of thing, that it's really important that I do take this time, because I would rather take 5, 10, 30 minutes, whatever, however long it is now, than have to take a couple days or a couple weeks to kind of recuperate afterwards. And so just knowing that I can, like, almost sorry, I'm looking for the word, uh knowing that I can sustain myself a little bit longer by doing these things is really, really helpful. And managing that guilt and just telling myself, like, you would rather take the time now than be forced to take it later.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I can see how that can be useful to have some sort of schedule to know where you can relax and when you're not. I think I'll need it to. Sometimes it just, with me being also at risk and impacted and living with my mom, some days I can, I work all day and then I go home and I realize that I need some, HD free decompression time. And that's not possible because that means, going out of the house and that being guilty because I'm not there. But it's something that we need to learn. As you were saying before, you cannot pour from an empty cup and we're all different. So what might take me, I don't know, 20 minutes might take another person 2 weeks. And that's totally fine. And talking about things that actually help us, has anything surprised you, like something that you didn't expect to work to help you when it comes to self-care and it actually did?
Well, not really, but because I am a nurse, so I've always known that good habits help keep life in balance. The challenge was not the knowledge, but putting it into practice. Now I have learned that we must lead by example.
I think for me, learning over the years, the thing that surprised me is knowing that like self-care doesn't have to be this big grand gesture that you're doing for yourself. I used to think that like if I was prioritizing myself, I had to do something big, like go get a massage or go do something that, I wouldn't normally do. But now looking at it and knowing that I can do these small things at home has really helped me. And knowing that, like, even the simple act of taking a shower can help reset and ground me has been really useful.
Yeah, you're right. It's not the big things, it's just those little things that make us feel cuddled and just relaxed.
Mhm.
So, what would you say to someone who's struggling to try to make that space for themselves, specifically while, navigating HD in the family?
Ask for help from anyone, but please ask for help. You deserve your own space. You deserve to rest. You deserve to be cared for, and you deserve to live your life to the fullest.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think it's also just knowing that, like, you are also worthy as a human being to take time for yourself. As much as HD is in your world, it's not your whole world. And so you need to realize that, it's okay to take time. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to need a break. And we've all been there. No one is going to judge you for it. We understand completely. It's hard. It's really hard. It's a different dynamic that most people outside of this community will never understand. But it's okay to take time. It's okay to be your own person. It's okay to have an identity outside of being a caregiver or being a loved one or being, the person that has HD. No matter what, every single person is worth being themselves and having time for themselves.
Thank you. And if someone watching this doesn't know where to start taking better care of themselves, what's one small thing that you'd suggest they try?
I would say it's never too late to care for yourself. It's never too late to live in the present. Believe in yourself and in your inner power. I learned to play the ukulele at 32 when I thought it was impossible. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Learn more about what you eat. Start here. Your body deserves the best. Your brain is connected to your gut, so what you eat affects your mental health too. Try to avoid too much sugar and processed food and drink water. That's easy. And do one change at a time. Be patient and keep going. Baby steps can improve your health life and help you care better for others too.
I would say start with something that you know that you like. So if that's sports, sometimes it's really good to go run or go play a sport and get that kind of like other side out. If you're unable to do things like that, I find that listening to music is really helpful because you can always find something that is able to help boost your mood and boost kind of the serotonin in your brain, no matter what the music is. Or if you need 5-10 minutes, watch a TV show. As much as you might feel guilty for taking that time to rest, clearly something in your brain and your body is telling you that you need it, and it's okay to do those things. They're super small, they're great first steps to prioritize yourself.
Thank you both for these advices. And before we wrap up, there's anything else you would like to share? Something on your mind, piece of advice, or just a message from the heart?
Just remember that you are not alone.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. You're never alone, you're worthy, and you matter. And that's a really important thing to kind of just know. And I'm also always here. I'm a message away. And I'm very open about my struggles and open to communicate with somebody if they need. I think another piece of advice too would be look into your local HD resources. I know here in Canada we have the mentorship program as well, which can be really useful to have somebody else to talk to.
Thank you again for sharing your stories and your experiences, and thank you all for watching this video. And remember, if you ever need support or just someone to talk, you can reach us at hdyo.org.